Hello everyone, I'm Professor Geek. Welcome back to the channel. As you see from that thumbnail, what is this video going to be about? Is Disney dead? And I am saying, I'm stating it right now, calling it right now, Disney's dead. Now what do I mean by that? Obviously, the company's not going under right now. They're still creating. They're going to be around for a while. What do I mean by Disney's dead? I'll give you sort of in essence what I mean, and then I have 3 points that I'll make which I think will better define what I mean. But in essence, I mean that Disney is simply no longer relevant. They're no longer recognizable as the Disney that we thought we knew. I used to really mourn this, and I still do miss, and I'll always miss classic Disney, because I was a Disney nut. It was such a huge part of my growing up, childhood, but also part of what really connected me to fairy tales and mythologies, and really got me into this, because Disney was a gateway for me to find out other versions of them and to see what was special about, Disney's version of them. And Disney was very much a caretaker of American folklore, and it was this magical place that you knew that it was just, I'm getting into my points. But anyway, I no longer, that I've mourned it for so long, and Disney has gone out of their way to show us that they are 100% not interested in being that anymore. They are 100% content of the ideologues now. They've so far severed their link from ever being anything like that again, that the wound's not even fresh anymore, and I just don't really care about Disney. Like, I don't think about them. They're like, yeah, I'll always love what I had in Disney, but that's never coming back. So Disney's just, oh, it's just another one of those big companies that runs a bunch of entertainment stuff. And there are reasons for that. And the first reason for that I've kind of already sprung into a bit is Disney no longer has any brand recognition whatsoever. Other than certain icons, like you see the Mickey Mouse or the ears, and okay, that's Disney. Some certain icon kind of symbolic symbol recognition. There's no brand recognition of this is the kind of content you're going to get from Disney. I've made the point before that they own so many things now, you don't get to own The Simpsons and Mickey Mouse and expect anybody to know the specific kind of content they're going to get when they come to a Disney show anymore. Who knows? Disney used to be, it was family friendly, but it wasn't, it very much embodied what the American mythology had to be. It was a great source of American mythos, because as I've made the point many times before on my channel, in Western society, our societies aren't necessarily run by any one single religion anymore. We have a bunch of different creeds, or lack thereof, and so we do need a certain shared set of stories, and we get that in our entertainment industry from different sources, and Disney was a great source of that for a long time, because they did keep to certain basic fundamental morals that we all kind of shared as a society. They don't do that anymore. Now they're trying, since the ideologue seeped in, they're trying to progress. They're that progressivist type storytelling, which is no longer reflecting our society, but is trying to preach to our society and tell us who they think we should be, that kind of thing. So they own too much. They're trying to be too many things to too many different people in that respect. But then in terms of their philosophies and their values and whatnot, they're trying to preach, from some utopian future or whatever, and they're no longer a source of folklore. They're no longer a source of mythology. They're no longer a recognizable brand in that way is what I mean. Obviously, you recognize the font, you recognize characters and whatnot, but they're no longer that recognizable brand. They're no longer that comfy. So far gone are the days. I grew up when the Disney Sunday night movie, that was how you ended your weekend. And the weekend wasn't complete until you saw that Disney Sunday night movie. And you didn't even know what the movie would be. Even somebody like me who has very specific genre tastes, it didn't have to be fantastical. If it was a Disney movie, I knew I would like it, because it would have that whimsy, it would have that charm, it would have that magic, no matter what kind of story it was. Those days are so far gone. They're not coming back at all. So yeah, they've lost all that brand recognition in that way. The second point that I want to make is that Disney ardently and actively hates you. Now, let me be clear about what I mean by that. A lot of other YouTubers are making the point, and it's true, and that's where I'll begin with the point, is that Disney actively hates anybody who doesn't agree with their progressivist, utopian ideals that they're trying to push onto the culture. They actively hate these people. They're stars. Their execs have said as much. You look at the emails that leaked and whatnot. These are ideologues trying to preach, trying to mold a society into what they think it should be. And they actively hate anybody who doesn't like it. If you dared have a problem with the same-sex kiss and Buzz Lightyear, Chris Evans told you what he thought of you. And this is, the man who played Captain America of all things. And it didn't stop there, right? It didn't stop there. If you dared have a problem with the horribly written character of Reva in the Kenobi series, oh, then you're an evil racist. How dare you? I mean, they have gone out of their way to actively ostracize, insult. They hate you if you don't agree with them. Now you might say, well, what about, this person over there? Or you might say, well, I do agree with them. I do agree with the progressivist idea. So, they don't hate me. Oh, give it time. Give it time, because that's what progressivist ideas do when they're applied through this technique of bullying. Get on board or we shall ostracize you from the community. We will cancel you in a heartbeat if you dare. And even if you think, well, no, I'm in line with their values, I'm in line with all that. Yeah, for now, step a toe out of boundaries. What's going to happen? It's bound to happen at some point. I mean, as much as you're giving yourself to groupthink and ideologies, you still are a human being. At some point, you'll disagree with some tiny little shade of something, and boom, canceled. You're an evil, horrible, racist, evil person too. Disney actively hates you. It's a side effect of them being run by their ideologies. They no longer care about families, children. They no longer care about providing a wonderful sense of escapism for you, a wonderful sense of mythology for you. They don't care about that. They care about their agenda, and if you hinder that in any way, which everybody's bound to at some point, then they hate you, and they will come after you, as they've done. So there's not a friendly, community or anything like that. Third, the last point I'll make is that Disney, and I've kind of already alluded to this and said a little bit of it, but they've lost all of the magic. All of the magic. I've already kind of talked about this a little bit in terms of their stories. Their stories have no magic anymore. I mean, same-sex kiss aside, the Buzz Lightyear movie, I mean, people have been pointing out it's just, and even without any kind of political reaction to it, it's just lame. It's just that they don't know how to tell stories anymore. And this is something we see throughout the industry in a greater way. Marvel, DC, all these other companies that have become completely culturally irrelevant too. They don't mean anything to anybody anymore. They're not something that people love and make a daily part of that even geeks, people who really obsess over this stuff, they're not something we make a daily part of our lives anymore or even give a thought to. Because even the writers who are involved in them, and I'm not saying every single writer of every single story published or produced or whatever, I'm speaking in general, and it's enough in general to really drive the point home. We just don't see the stories coming from these writers that we used to. And the new writers coming up aren't trained to write well. They're trained to push an ideology, push their agenda. That's more important. So if their agenda is pushed in a movie or a TV show, then that's a win. Who cares if it was well constructed or not? Because if you didn't like it, well, you're just a racist or a sexist or a homophobe or whatever, because you didn't support a vessel for their agenda, regardless of the quality. That's so the magic is all gone from the storytelling. Aside from that, though, it's also gone. Disney had a wonderful thing going for it that it had its own little shared universe. And I'm not talking about it owning all these other things, because you can't even really have a shared universe when you own Marvel and Star Wars and Fox and all of the Disney stuff before. It's just it's too much. What can you even there's no shared universe there. It's just too disparate. But the classic Disney had its own shared universe. When I remember watching Disney's House of Mouse, in the afternoons, that was phenomenal because and it worked. You would see this, Mickey Mouse running this cafe with, at the Fab Five with Disney, Daisy and Minnie and Goofy and all of those. And then, this is a cafe, a nightclub or whatever that, the princesses would come to, that people, that Robin Hood would come to and all of that. And that worked. It was this wonderful thing because they all shared, all those movies, as different as they were, all shared that Disney culture. They shared that Disney magic, that Disney charm. One of my favorite game series is Kingdom Hearts, and it's taking the Final Fantasy universe and blending it with the Disney, and it's amazing. And it's amazing because that shared universe is still there. Now, I haven't played Part 3 yet. People say that kind of dropped the ball on that a bit, and I don't have really any hopes for Kingdom Hearts 4, but it was still there, at least as far as I've gotten. It's a wonderful thing, and when you would go into the parks, oh man, the parks, they prided themselves on a lot of careful things. I mean, there's a reason why you would park your car here and then have to ride a tram to the station and then have to get on a monorail or a ferry to the actual park, because they're trying to get you removed as far as they can from your daily life. You need to be removed from your, you can't just go back to your car, go back to your life. They want you to really, truly escape. Is that wonderful sign that Walt Disney put in Magic Kingdom. I'm forgetting the wording now. I'll put the picture up here. But you leave here and enter into a world of fantasy and tomorrow and all of that. Wonderful, wonderful stuff and adventure. It was escapism. It was charm. You walked into Disney World and you felt it. You felt that magic. You felt the characters that you knew and loved around you because you knew what those characters represented. You knew what they stood for. And there was no conflict of, there was room for people of different beliefs and whatnot. That you were accepted because this was a mythological sort of environment with that magic and charm. That's gone. Disney World itself is not run according to that anymore. I saw an ad today for the Magic's returning, and they were starting to go on sale their tickets at Disney World for the Christmas parties or whatever they have there in November, starting in November. Like, what magic? There's no magic there. They've nixed little things like they're not even going to say ladies and gentlemen anymore, because that's a glaring, something as simple as that, that's a glaring absence. You knew that guy's voice, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that was a classic iconic Disney thing. And it's not that they need to say that to me to be happy, but it's the fact that it's missing, and you know why. Because they are trying to push this idea that there's no such thing as a lady or a gentleman. It's all socially constructed. You get that garbage from your entertainment industry mythology folklore. No. That's ridiculous. But that's what Disney has prioritized now. All of their magic is gone. There's no brand recognition. In the manner that I said, you don't know what you're going to get from a Disney movie anymore. Those days are gone. That used to be such a wonderful thing. I'll still, just for nostalgia's sake, I'll go on and watch clips of on YouTube of like the old Disney logos or intros to like Disney VHS tapes or whatever, or the old Disney Channel, like classic, when it was first getting off its feet, Disney Channel promos and whatnot. It was all part of that wonderful feel. You knew what it was. You knew the kind of content you were going to get. Those days are gone. They do actively hate you. And if you don't think they hate you yet, just give it enough time. They will. They hate you because you're in the way, ultimately, of their utopia. And there's no such thing as ever getting to I say utopia with the air quotes because there is no such thing as a utopia. That progressivist utopia is never going to happen. It can never happen. It's a fantasy. That kind of thing doesn't mesh with human nature, doesn't mess it. It wouldn't even work. It wouldn't even give people the good stuff they think it's going to give them. So since it's never going to come about, they need scapegoats. That's the thing about progressivist philosophy. The utopia is never going to come about, so they need scapegoats. And the scapegoats are the dirty Christians. They're the dirty conservatives. They're the, they're the dirty gay rights activists who aren't getting on board with the trans rights activists. That's the step by step by step. It's only a matter of time before they'll hate you too. So they hate you. And then third of all, just to recap, there's absolutely no magic left in Disney. No magic whatsoever. The pixie dust is all out of power. Now, and I don't mean to say, of course, I'm not doom and gloom on the classic stuff. I still love classic Disney, still watch it, still revel in it, still love it. But the current company that is called Disney today is no longer a source of that kind of content, and it will no longer give you that kind of content. No foreseeable future. You would have to have sort of apocalyptic kind of shakedowns for anything to ever happen like that. And what are the chances? So, real bummer. Disney is dead. Disney is no longer culturally relevant. It's just a title. It's just a company that makes entertainment now. That's it. So those are my thoughts on that. I know a lot of you agree with me, but I just wanted to put it out there in sort of an organized way. I'll come back with more content like this and more of my other videos that I've been doing. And of course, don't forget our book studies on Tuesday night. But until next time, keep enjoying and digging deeper into the hero stories you love. Thanks for watching.